And we provide that service.
Okay, just what about like summer camps? Do you do summer camps as well? Not just special needs, but summer camps in general?
We do summer camps, but not in this area.
All right, another follow-up to my question. So if there's 55 buses being serviced in Washingtonville at the present time, isn't that all of phase one?
That is phase one, yes.
So all those buses that are going to be in phase one are going to be solely for the Washington Central School District?
Correct. We rent a facility in Chester.
Excuse me, guys, I know you're waiting to answer questions. If we could just be patient, and this is an ordinance again, yes it is, be patient. You will be given your time, okay? Rather than have people just shout out information.
You're off, Joe.
Okay? Can't hear you.
Can't hear?
Rather, some people don't want me to talk. You guys do. Rather than just blurt out information, okay, everyone's going to be heard, like we said, if it's not tonight, this is meeting number one, okay? This is just an introduction to see what's going on, to see if we're hearing what they're presenting and you're hearing the same presentation at the same time, okay? So we're all in this boat together, all right? So rather than shout out, this isn't true, that's not true, okay? If the presenter could present, you will get your chance to ask your questions. Thank you. Okay, as far as the BG district, I think that really came up from the village board, okay, to redo the whole thing. So you're just looking, and I think you answered the question before. Under no circumstances are you going into the remainder of the acreage. Is that safe to say, or it's too early in the process?
No, this proposal's for the 9.1 acre.
Sorry. Are you coming next year with another proposal for the
No, that's
7
why,
acres?
that's exactly why we're showing phase one, phase two.
Okay.
Because that would be the next stage. There's no plan, even speculative at this point, for something more.
Okay, with the bus facility that you plan on putting, and maybe this is to the engineer, what size are we looking at of the building? Possibly what height are we looking at with the building? What is the building? Is it a Butler type building?
It hasn't been designed as of yet. It's just over 1,600 square feet. I believe it's. I got it on the plan. ,6,900 square feet, 116 feet by 60 feet. 60 feet fits the bus inside.
Okay.
So that's that dimension. And then 116 gives room for the garage, office space, restrooms, driver's lounge, etc.
Okay.
Locker rooms.
And
The height we don't have it yet.
For a typical building of a...
Probably 25 feet. You know, I have a photo of Spear Lumber building. Maybe this will be helpful. I have a couple of photos of that. Let me see. If you look at this photo of Spear Lumber, this is looking right up their driveway. And you can see a van up in the top. Van is probably as tall as I am, about 6 foot tall. I think that the building would be no taller than that. That building's got to be 25 feet tall. You could get four of those vans stacked on top of each other, just to get a gauge of the height. That building's 25 feet high. We're not going to be any higher than that. There's no need.
Okay. Would there be washing facilities within the?
Inside the building.
Inside-
Recycling system for, the typical bus wash or car wash has limited water use because they recycle, filter the water, etc. So it's the water is reused over and over and over again.
You mentioned, I think at the last meeting that we had at the Village Hall, an antenna going up. What would that antenna be used for?
John, could you?
The antenna, it just goes on top of the building. It's a typical, maybe 5-foot antenna, because we use satellite for the radios in all the buses.
Okay.
Similar to what the school district uses too.
So it's not a cell tower?
It's not a cell tower, it's not a 90-foot tower or anything like that, no. It's just a, like a whip antenna that goes on top of the building.
The question up here was why the whole 88 acres? And I think that was, like I said, a board request, I think, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, if you look at the packet, it says on page 3, they want the zoning map to classify the entirety of the approximate 88.5 acres of real property. I'm just curious as to why the whole entirety of the property. Clearly permit private bus depot as a principal use. I'm just curious.
I think that, yes. It's a
That
good
was an
question.
ask
I
by the
think-
village.
That was asked by the village?
Yeah, it was asked. So as of now, we're only looking at the 9.1 acres in this project, period.
Forever? Forever, ever? Forever, ever?
Well, it's the board,
For
it's,
them, for you it's fair, yes, right?
yeah, it was a request by the village.
Rich, any questions?
Go ahead.
Before I got on this board, there was some discussion at a public board meeting, and the owner of the property, the present owner of the property, made a comment that it would be 8 or 9 buses, and now it's 134 buses. My concern that in the last 3 years, it went from 8 to 134. What will it go in 3 years after the phase 1 and phase 2 are completed?
I don't recall us saying 8.
It's on video. You can-
No.
you can-
No, I don't think.
No, I said the previous, the owner of the.
Okay, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So in our view, there wasn't an increase because we never said that, but if someone else did, then it's hard to answer that.
Any more comments, or we can open it up? Open it up to the public. The one there, the microphone is in front of the stage here. If you please come up, state your name, your address, spell your last name, favorite color, and limited to 3 minutes. Somebody has a timer?
Vinnie Lang, 9 Plymouth Rock Court, L-A-N-G. My question is to the owner of Orange County Transit. Have you ever lost a contract in the past?
Mr. Mayor?
Because I want to know, because if he loses the contract with Washingtonville, what happens then? Who are you going to service? You're not servicing us with these buses. Because number 2, you pick up my son to go parochial school, they're late every single day.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's appropriate to perhaps take the comments and and have us record them.
Okay.
And then get when comments aren't directly related to the project at hand,
That was related to the project. Because when you lose the contract, where are those buses going? Who are they going to service? Not us.
We can hand out the index cards, please. Let's take a few minutes to write down your questions on index cards. Keep in mind that we need to move along because of 9 o'clock curfew here in the building.
I wrote all my questions down. My name is Lindsay Dixon. I live at 11 Sylvan Trail,
Spell your missing, please. I'm sorry.
Dickson. I'm just trying to figure out, like, are you guys actually purchasing this, or are you going to be leasing this area after the purchase is done, whoever, or are you buying all 88 acres or just 9 acres?
It's just the 9.1 acres.
So
Okay,
then what,
sorry.
and he said that the board asked him, who on the board asked you to try to rezone all 88 acres?
We are purchasing the property, and it's the 9.1 acres only.
But you said the boards
The board
asked
asked
you
us,
to
I'm gonna answer the
rezone
question.
the 88, who on the board asked you that?
The village board, when I met with them as a whole, requested me to rezone the whole lot because it's all one 88-acre lot.
So then you can't buy the 9.1 acres.
there's a proposed subdivision as part of the application to create the 9-acre lot.
There's a proposal. But then why, so if that's the case, then why are we trying to rezone all 88? And there's a reason why. I mean, I don't know, the board, we've been being bombarded with us to try to change our zoning laws, okay? And all they want, we just need one. Once we do the one, then we're done. They're gonna come in, I can't say who, okay? But they're gonna come in and say, well, you did it for them, you gotta do it for everybody. And that's their plan. We're all like living in blinders. Do you guys own any of the buses that are on 208 parked illegally by the Sunoco?
No, do not own a single one over there.
Okay, but you're aware of them, aren't you?
Well, I drive buses too, and I drive
Okay.
past, yes.
Is the board aware of these buses being parked illegally in a residential home? And nothing is ever done about it? It's part of Blooming Grove. We also have buildings.
Let's not confuse the village of South Blooming Grove
Okay.
to the village
All right, I
of
apologize,
Washingtonville.
but I just was wondering if those buses are part of his, that's all. And you know, that's really what they're trying to do, is just change the zoning laws. And this piece of property's been for sale. The one gentleman said he remembers over 20 years ago. The reason why it hasn't been sold for 20 years is they don't want the way that it's zoned right now. If they purchase it now with the way that it's zoned, okay, then they can't come back and say, because they bought it knowing that's what it's zoned for. They want to get, high-density housing is what wants to be put in there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Hurley, 128, H-U-R-L-E-Y, 128 Lewis Court, Washingtonville, New York. I just have two questions. If it's available tonight, can you tell us who the corporate members are of the corporation? By name, the individuals that make up the corporation, and the names of your senior management. And two, I don't know if we're able to ask the present owner what his intent to do with the remaining acreage. That is more of a concern to us than what we're discussing tonight. And if he has considered a land trust for that property. Do you have names available tonight?
I can get you those names, but
We can
we're
get them.
not, we're not purchasing the 88 acres, just so we're clear.
I understand that.
I only am going to contract on the 9.1 acres.
Right. But you are part of a corporation. The corporation has board members. We'd like to know who they are.
Okay, we'll take, we wrote down the question and we'll take that back, but I'm pretty sure your counsel will probably agree that that question's getting a little outside of what the hearing is. And just to be clear, something that was said
But
earlier.
you're the purchasers.
I'm going to answer the question. I am the owner, I am the stockholder, I am 100% owner. There is no other investments. I am doing this to provide a service for our contract that I have with your local school district.
Temporarily.
Okay, temporarily, but I have a multi-year contract.
That
And
can
there's-
terminate them.
There's no other board members.
No, I'm a single member.
And something that was said earlier, I think it was this gentleman and another, about rezoning the property. The property is being rezoned, if this was approved, away from residential to commercial. So, just to be clear about that.
Well, I think, you know, Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, we could just look at the 9.1 acres and rezone them to business commercial, correct? We don't have to go over the whole.
Correct.
You've received a petition. You can evaluate the petition as a whole. You can modify it. And yes, if you wanted to look at just the 9 and change acreage, you could do that.
Hi, my name is Joseph Oliver. I live at 20 Patricia Lane. It's Oliver. My question is, like you guys stated, there's already an exception for some type of transit to be there. If there's an exception and you guys can put your facility there, either way, then why do you even need to change it? You stated that there's already, like for a filling station and whatever it was, that you guys can put the facility there either way, so why would you need to have to change it?
There's language in the code that we would have to work through with the village. It's unclear because it's somewhat of a unique use. So this was to avoid confusion and provide clarity.
Yeah, but it's already clarified by the state. So it
By the
doesn't
state?
or the county or whatever you want to call it.
The village.
The BG or whatever.
Right.
It's not, the property is not in the BG, so the proposed use is not permitted. It is permitted in a district that is joint, so the applicant is requesting that we extend the
Oh,
district boundary.
continue it to the.
Yes, so it's a two-part application. One, apply the BG zoning designation to this particular property, and then two, a text change to clarify. If you read our code, there are 2 zoning definitions that come pretty close, but while we're here and doing a zoning amendment, Mr. Morando and I discussed a zone change to clarify the nature, but a public bus garage is permitted in the BG zone. So that's what we're here. So again, it's 2 parts. 1, the zoning change, and then 2, a text change.
Hi, my name is Denise Wiggins, Wiggins. I live at 66 Goshen Avenue. I've lived there since 1968. I love my village. And I apologize, I didn't get your last name, but I believe it's Anthony, lawyer?
My first name.
I'm sorry?
That's my first name.
No, I didn't get your last name. I didn't catch your last name, but I don't want to call you by your first name, Anthony.
That's okay.
I don't want to be disrespectful.
No, please.
You mentioned that this would be beneficial to the village. In the future, you don't have to answer me right now, I would like to know how. How does the village of Washingtonville benefit? You also mentioned that the school bus, the Washingtonville Central School District is lacking drivers. How is bringing more buses helping that problem? If we can't get drivers for the school district, why on earth would we try to get drivers for something outside of the school district? And again, I'm not asking these questions for answers right now. This is for the future. Because if you're bringing drivers in, they're not in the village of Washington. They don't live here. This is a commuter. Most of the people that I know that live here, well, not most, a lot of them, commute to New York City, so they have jobs. So I just don't understand how this is going to benefit the village of Washingtonville. My parents are 88 and 86. They have been taxpayers in this village since 1968. They will now probably be responsible for the increase in the water, anything that goes with planning, the traffic, the road maintenance. All of that is going to fall on the village, the people that have lived here and built this village, and I don't think that's fair. They have paid their fair share, and adding this is not going to benefit my parents or the other seniors in the village of Washingtonville. Thanks for your time.
My name is David Dunn Sr., 1 Lincoln Drive. I've been here since 1959, and I don't like the way the village is going. But anyway, my question is phase, if you get phase one, don't get phase two, is phase one feasible?
Yes.
You could live with just the one phase.
It would be less buses, yes.
Okay. Number two, anybody doing a traffic study? The last traffic study was done, it was done in July when the school buses weren't running and there was no traffic in town.
Part of our proposal, we would do a new traffic study, because we didn't
When?
during school hours and buses, so we would have
Because
that.
last time they did it in July, that's the way
That
they
was
went.
another
down.
traffic study, but yes.
Will
okay.
it include the old traffic study or the other one that just, the other proposal?
We, just to,
No, if we could just, one at a time, please.
I yield to him, go ahead.
No, we're not going to yield. It's a great question, because I heard that also once before. A traffic study was done, I believe, the week of the 4th.
Okay, South Main Street only has a 4-inch water main. What are you gonna do about that?
And as far as we're making it larger,
Well, you're gonna have to if you're gonna put all this in.
we don't, that's something for the water department.
No, that's up to the taxpayers, because we gotta pay for that water main.
No. Well, I can't answer that question. Well, you're saying that you have to pay for it, which means I have to pay for it. Something like that's not going to happen. Okay? I have to pay the same bills that you pay.
All right, but if you raised it, but I'm just saying, you realize you only have a 4-inch main out there.
On Main Street, but they would be coming off 208. I don't know what the water situation is.
208 has a 4-inch main, because when the Brown's feed store burnt down, that's the problem we had trying to fight the fire with 4-inch main.
I was just informed as part of site plan approval. So, this is just a really informational meeting. We heard this at the same time that you did. Okay? So we're all in this together from birth.
Yeah, okay, well, I just don't like the way your village is going downhill.
Thank you.
Susan Walski, W-A-L-S-K-I, 24 South Street in the Village. I want to first clarify some information that was given out tonight. Electric buses, new buses start in 2035, not for another 13 years, and you have till 2050 to phase out your diesel, gas, and propane buses. That's more than 25 years of exhaust. My property is within 500 yards of the 70, let's say, school buses in the Washingtonville Central School District. When it gets below 30 degrees and those diesels have to heat up, the air quality in my backyard is nauseating. You cannot breathe on my back deck. You put 134 buses within 100 yards of my property. You are literally choking me and every other resident of South Street and Woodcock Mountain Road out of good, high-quality air. Another thing I would like to know from the applicant, and I'm not expecting an answer tonight, so I'm putting it before the board, is will the applicant be looking for tax incentives to complete this project? Thank you.
Is there studies, can studies be done regarding air quality? Is that part of,
And noise.
You can have those done, yes, and they have been done at other bus routes. But just to clarify, we do run alternative fuel and we do phase in, besides electric, it's propane buses that have a zero NOx emission.
Hi, Pam Ragusa, 19 Sayer Road, Blooming Road. I have two questions. The first one is, you guys are going for 9.1 and the village requested to change the zoning from RA to BG. What is the village thinking of doing with that property? Why would you request a change to commercial? Number one.
well, okay.
And then number two goes back to, well, actually both areas. You guys coming in first with the 9.1, does the village, town, anybody benefit in taxes? Like we now have a commercial thing. Will that relieve taxes in any way to the residential people? Because I always hear if there's business, get tax relief from businesses. As opposed to the other lady's question, if they get relief, I'm curious if the village and the town get relief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening. Brian Kitzrow, that's Kitzrow, 120 Round Hill Road. The property that's being discussed today is an iconic property that's the gateway to Washingtonville. It's the base of the Washingtonville website, which is showing that this property is the image that the village projects to the world. The property defines the community character of Washingtonville. And due to its location, the property is in a good location to provide goods and services to the community like the rest of the downtown village. But this proposal would turn the face of Washingtonville into a parking lot. It would provide no direct services to residents, no shops, no businesses, not even parking for residents. It provides no guarantee that such buses will be utilized by and for the community. Ultimately, there was no need for any rezoning. Land that is already next to the road on 208 is already part of the BG district. By rezoning any other part of that land, what it's going to do is it's going to allow buildings to be built up to 45 feet high, which is similar to other buildings elsewhere in this area, which are out of character with the nature of the village, including very large buildings as well. The bus depot, additionally, I would argue should not be added as a specific clause for the BG zoning district. And why it is not part of that specifically now is because a bus depot is distinctly different in terms of the traffic that it would cause, the fuel storage, and the pollution as was referenced by other residents. Additionally, the impacts of traffic not being considered would include that even if all buses being proposed here go to the Washingtonville School District, this changes the routes of those buses and consolidates that traffic within the village of Washingtonville that now may be coming in from Chester. Additionally, whether it's 70 or plus buses, the drivers for those buses now are traveling through Washingtonville at high peak times to park their cars there, and when they exit, they'll leave from that area as well. And lastly, like other speakers, I think I agree that there's really no need to be discussing a change to anything greater than the 9+ acres being discussed here. This plan is for 9 acres of use. There's no benefit at this time in discussing changes to any other acreage outside what's being proposed by the applicant.
Thank you.
Hi, Kathy Stiganga, 79 Woodcock Mountain Road. My husband's property actually butts this property. So some of our concerns, and we've run into it, we've run into it in the last year, is when we've had these detours. Are you going to be sending any of those buses if you actually pass this down Woodcock Mountain Road?
I couldn't answer you at this point because we don't know what detours we're going to be faced with any traffic study or any comments from the village. So right now, we don't use that road, maybe one or two because we have kids that live down there, but we don't use that as a thoroughpass for buses that come through Main Street or out of district.
Okay, and I'm sure that with the road study, you have to realize, as everybody here has, we can't get through Washingtonville now. Washingtonville was designed with 2 main state roads. We have no back roads. So when the congestion comes in that, 6:30 to 8:39, and a lot of these people work in the city, a lot of people work outside of Washingtonville. We don't work here. We have to travel. And you're going to be adding additional time that people are going to be spending on the road, sitting in traffic. It's not feasible to be putting that many more buses, even if you're going the other way to Monroe Woodbury. And as we've all seen with the buildings that's going on over in Monroe Woodbury, you can't get through 208 to get to 17 because it's all one lane. There's no way that 208 can be expanded. There's no way that 94 can be expanded. So we can't even look at maybe doing, a 3rd lane so that traffic can flow. But one of my questions is the phase 1 of your project, is that the full 9 acres and then you're going to be looking at purchasing more land, or does that 9 acres include phase 1 and phase 2?
9.1 acres includes phase 1 and phase 2. The phase 1 with the building is 5, I think it was 5.
5.5.
5.5 acres at part of the 9.1 acre total.
Okay, so my next question is, and I think you've already explained this, I just want to clarify. So you were only purchasing that 9.1 acres, and you were asked to change the full 88 acres to include in your petition for this project to change it to Blooming Grove zoning, BG zoning.
So the 88 acres is one lot. So for me, it has to be part of the application to subdivide out the 9.1 acres, so we have to do a zone change. That was the ask. Obviously, from the village attorneys, the village has a right to amend or change their request, is what she said.
Okay.
So we put it in as the bus company is only buying 9.1 acres with a change of zone.
Why can't that